I want to see if the music drowns out my voice like it has been on my recordings for the last couple of days. I think on this magical restream setup. Yeah, technical goobity goop. I think I had to flip a switchy switch to make it workity work. It is Tuesday, and as Tuesday, June 25th, my name remains Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff every single day, and I'm really happy that you're here. Why? Because you get to ask questions about stuff and things, and I get to answer questions about stuff and things. And isn't that just the way it should be? Let's press the button there on Instagram because you know what I realized at the end of yesterday's live stream? I pressed go live instead of end live. I never actually activated that channel. Hopefully, those who wanted to watch and were watching on that particular platform figured it out because that would be helpful if they figured it out. I hope that you had a good Monday night. Is there anything exciting going on? I don't know. I had not, I went out for dinner. I went for dinner to celebrate my sister-in-law's birthday, and it was quite exceptional. It was. And then was there dessert? There was dessert. Dessert was okay, but the meal was quite good. And of course, the company. And although I said happy birthday in person to my sister-in-law, happy birthday again, like even though it was yesterday. But I didn't say it on the live stream yesterday. So now I'm going to pretend that I said it on the live stream. So 1 second, we'll back it up. And today's my sister-in-law's birthday. So happy birthday to you. And I'm just going to send her that clip. Okay. Don't tell her. Uh, I'm horrible, and I'm finding that way more entertaining than any of you are, I'm sure. Okay, Julie says good morning, Sean, and everyone out there. Michael H says top of the morning to you. Top of the morning to you too. We have stuff and things that are going to happen because they happen every single time we go live. We're going to talk about Vision Zero Enforcement Unit, and they are, and for the people who watch this every day, and there are many of you who do, this is probably really boring, so I apologize. I need like a cartoon animation in the corner that to keep everybody else entertained, but not everybody knows what Vision Zero is. And as a concept, Vision Zero is the idea that we can aim for zero traffic fatalities, zero serious injuries, and that's a good goal because anything less is really like, how do you say, well, some are acceptable? None are acceptable. If you were to ask people, and I've seen great videos done by different organizations across the planet that basically go around saying, "Hey, how many traffic fatalities do you think occurred last year? How many would be acceptable?" And people rationalizing, "Oh, it's not that bad for a city like Toronto." That's just like when I announce how many people we arrest over the weekend for impaired driving, and people say, "Well, for a city the size of Toronto, that's not that bad." Yeah, it is. Nobody should be behind the wheel under the influence of drugs or alcohol, putting people's lives at risk. And nobody should be, dying as a result of it. So, uh, Vision Zero is a good concept, but we also acknowledge that zero is probably unattainable for collisions, but the ones that lead to serious injury and death, zero is totally doable. What are we looking for when we're out there looking for stuff? We're looking for speeders, aggressive drivers, distracted drivers, those who choose to put lives at risk through their actions. Did I mention impaired drivers? Yeah, we still see people driving impaired. I don't know why. I have some ideas. I think it's because, hmm, I think I was growing up, I was inundated with don't drink and drive messaging, advertising, radio. How many people actually listen to the radio and watch TV now? Most people are unplugged. In fact, if you're watching the show, it's probably because this is one of the ways you get content or you get information. And it's less likely that you go out and do it on television now. So you're not getting those commercial hits, all those late night in between the movie that you had to endure commercials to watch. Now you watch it on Netflix, so you don't see commercials. Anyway, I think that's a lot to do with it. So don't drink and drive. I said it now a couple of times. That now you had more messaging than you probably had all year about it, unless you watch the show. Uh, Today, we have those magical officers looking for those who choose to put others at risk, spending their time in 52 Division and 53 Division. We're talking about the neighborhoods of Kensington, Chinatown, Bay Street Corridor, Lawrence Park, Young Eglinton, Rosedale, Leaside, neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play and deserve to be safe. And we announce it every day, like, whether it's on our Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. It's announced every day, specifically because we want to let people know where we're spending our time. It's important. People who live there want to know that we're there doing what we do to make roads safer for everyone. All right. Hey, Hannah says hi. Hi, Hannah. Uh, I'll put you up on the screen there. There you go. Why did I get notified? I thought I closed. Oh no, I didn't close my email. Let me close my email because I don't really want to be notified of email right now. Email closed. Okay. We got dad joke from Michael for later. Uh, Michael says, I'll be excited to hear VSET in my area again. Yeah. You know what? I think it's awesome. I I no longer live in a VSET area, but I would love VSET to be where I am. Let's see here. Zombie says, good morning. Our one Twitch viewer. How many people are on Twitch right now? I don't know. Let's see. One on Twitch. And it's Zombie. My friend Basharat Ali says, morning, Sir Sean. Walk safely, drive carefully. Love from Pakistan. Thank you for the message. Basharat is a police officer in Punjab, Pakistan, and often comes into the show to say, hey, and what's up? So awesome. We were actually invited to visit him for the opening of his new police station, and I would have loved to have attended. That would have been truly awesome. I like traveling, and I hope you like traveling too. Traveling is one of those really truly magical ways of expanding your horizon, seeing different things, learning new cultures, and you can't do it from online. But on the same time, I was chatting with a family member who's out of the country right now, and well, actually, we'll back it up a bit. I was talking to a buddy of mine when I was recently at Bass Pro Shops, and I said, "I gotta go. I got a long distance call." So I took the call from Europe, and afterwards I called my buddy back and I said, "Yeah, sorry about that. It was long distance." He goes, "You know that's not a thing anymore, right?" And I realized that's so true. It used to be like someone was paying $4 a minute to call you, and it was really urgent, and you had to get everything into a concise. You can now sit all night on video and chat with someone anywhere in the world. So when I grew up and I was paying, X number of dollars, I mean, I used to pay long distance to call Newmarket from Toronto. Yeah, I just things have changed, and apparently I haven't, or at least the root level things that I grew up with, they still run hard. Okay. Tyler says, how hard is the wrong button to press? What did I press? Hang on a second. Tyler says, how hard is the RCMP entry exam? Tyler, if I knew that, I probably would have meant I would apply to the RCMP. I have no idea, primarily because I'm with the Toronto Police Service, and it's not. I'm expecting or assuming it's not the same test. But I would expect that all of the tests for becoming a police officer are not terribly difficult. They're not designed to make it only the Mensa members to join. But it is the idea of it is to get you through the paces to get you on a standard. So when I was practicing, preparing for my application, one of the things I did was take regular grade school math tutoring, not because I didn't know how to do math, but because I wanted to be more proficient. I wanted to be faster. It's a time test, or at least it was when I joined, and you only had the amount of time they gave you to do as many questions as possible. Well, if you sit there fumbling and you take too much time on a particular question, you have less time to get to the other questions. So I wanted to be able to race through that exam as accurately as possible and have time to go back and review answers that I had questions about or maybe didn't feel as confident about. But I wanted to make sure that things that were a given, things that were absolute, I didn't have to waste time on. So, yeah, that's it. Let's see here. Paul, who is Mr. Negative. No way my tax dollars are going to a Twitch cop. Okay, Paul. Okay. We're here to educate people. If you don't think education is important, you're wrong. Education is incredibly important. We talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, and it provides a valuable service to the community. But if you don't think it's important, well, we'll just stop, or you can scroll and go look at something else and ignore us because we're going to be here anyway. Yeah. Let's see here. Xenia says Canadians can't afford to travel anymore, and if they can, they shouldn't be complaining. I don't know if all people can't afford to travel or not, Canadian or otherwise. People seem to be doing it. The travel industry hasn't folded up its shops and closed its doors. I definitely think that we have to be smarter about the money we spend and where we spend it. But if you can afford to travel, I think you can still complain. But I don't know what we're complaining about anymore. Are we talking about long distance? I just, let's see here. Oh, we've got C3AB, uh, who says, haven't hopped onto here in a while. Good morning. Good morning to you too. It is, it's funny. We do this all the time. It's as long as the discussion is how often do I do the streams? Well, it's as often as I can. If I'm available, if I'm available to live stream, I do, and I spend as much time as I possibly can within reason. So I mean, I could technically just log in when I get here, and you could stare at me while I do other work, but that wouldn't be fun, would it? It would be interesting, but not that fun. Well, it would be interesting. No, it wouldn't be interesting. It'd be boring. You look at the top of my head. Anyway, uh, yeah, but it is nice that people come in, come out, say hello. It's always nice to see a friend. All right, let's see here. Butterfly says first and only DUI. They're asking for year suspended, license 2K fine, and a year probation. I'm assuming you have legal. I can't give you legal advice. I don't know if that's a good deal or a bad deal, to be quite honest. I would suggest you get legal advice and go from there. But DUI is not intended to be fun. As I understand it, the average defense for impaired operation is about 30 grand. So if you're doing it without a legal defense and you're just speaking to duty counsel or whomever is available there that day, you should definitely invest in some legal advice. How illegal is windshield tint? Well, in Ontario, it is so illegal that having it would result in me taking your license plates and you getting towed to your next destination because it's absolutely prohibited. Uh, yeah, it's very illegal. It's considered unsafe. Your vehicle is deemed unsafe if you have windshield tint. And we got here. Hello, Serge. You check your DMs. I do. I've got about 40 unread on TikTok as the platform, but I do. It is a never ending thing. It's for every DM I answer, I end up getting 3 more DMs, and it's hard to maintain. But I sometimes have 150, depends on how many questions I'm getting in that inbox. But I do eventually get to everybody, unless you're just sending me videos. Sometimes I don't actually respond to someone just sharing a video. If you actually send me a message, I do. And then also, if you go to TrafficCop.ca and you can send me an email, it's a different way of getting it. Sometimes it's faster because there's usually not 30 in the queue. Okay. We got here. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, please use the letter Q in front of your question, so I know it's a question, not just banter amongst you. Because I see Mr. Vibes is talking to Paul and so on. Yeah. Although I think Mr. Vibes is trying to send negative vibes to Paul. I'm just reading into it. Okay. What information does an officer see when driving behind a vehicle? Do they always look up the plate? So there's no always ever. Like even if we have automation running, it doesn't always get seen by the officer. When we do choose to run, or if a system alerts us to something related to a vehicle, what's going to come back initially is the vehicle information, license and registered owner information. That's the basics, the basic what we call tombstone information. If with the ability to see who the registered owner is, we could then run the registered owner. That's additional investigation. Uh, but that's about it. Like if there was any warrants or information that said we need to find this vehicle, those are escalation points. Those are things that are they're going to stand out to us, and then we may be pulling that vehicle over. But historically, I would run all the plates I could, you know, if I could do so safely prior to automatic license plate readers. So I wasn't running everybody, but if I was in a position to do it safely, I would run the plates around me, and I'm looking for things. I'm also focused on driving safely and other driver behavior. It's only when nothing else was going on that I was really running everything. In any case, if I found something, I pulled them over. Oh, Aiden says, I can't afford to travel anymore with all these damn tickets. Well, I will say that if you'd like to travel more and you'd like to have more money in your pocket, not breaking the law will prevent you from getting more tickets, thus having more money in your pocket. I'm just going, I'm sure you're kidding around, but yeah, ticket. I think about this all the time. How do you motivate someone to not get a ticket? Like, tickets are there to motivate you not to get tickets anymore. But there's people who just forever break the law. And then I question why? Like, why is there the switch that says, do and don't do? Like, this doesn't make sense. Flip the switch to not do the things that don't make sense. I don't know. I just don't get some of the motivations. Like, I was probably an idiot when I was 16 when it came to driving. I got a couple of tickets and I was less of an idiot afterwards, right? I just started doing the right thing, possibly because I didn't want tickets. Just saying. All right. What do we got here? What's the normal protocol for constructions vehicle? Normal protocol for construction vehicles temporarily disrupting traffic without a permit. The protocol is if we catch them doing something they're not supposed to be doing, they're going to get a ticket. Like, you have to have the ability to be lawfully somewhere. You can't just, like, it depends. Are we backing a vehicle into a driveway? Do you have a flag person there? Uh, what do you mean? What's a specific situation? Are they just stopping for no reason because they want to get a coffee? What are they doing? Um, yeah, I need more information. This is what they do with taxpayers' money. Okay. This is one of many things that I do with the pay that I receive. It's one of the many job functions that I have as a media relations officer and officer on social media, here to educate people about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. Seeing that traffic safety, involves education, and education is actually a large component of it. This is money well spent. Why? Because we're spending our time speaking to many, many thousands of people, not always at the same time. We record content, we put it out there, it gets millions of views. Not every video, mind you, quite a number of them, but we help people. So yeah, we do spend an hour to an hour and a half a day talking to people. No different than waiting at the station for a phone call. I could be doodling and not talking to you while I wait for a phone call, but instead I educate. And I get that people like to poke, but until we have no traffic fatalities, no injuries, we obviously have a need for education. Oh, another silly person. Um, Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, perfect answer from C3AB. Okay. So how many criminal convicts? We got negatives today. Stella on the rock. Oh, Stella was here before. Did I ask you if you're from Newfoundland? Yeah, on the rock. I'm assuming that's what you're saying. Stella on the rock. I'm assuming you could be. Have you had done the screech thing? Friend of mine went down there, married a Newfie, and got screeched in. Was very proud of that. Oh, Neha says, "Have a beautiful Tuesday morning." Thank you for the positivity. Not like Stella. All right. Oh, Butterfly says, "Yes, I'm using duty counsel." Okay, thank you for. Oh, you're very welcome. The only advice I can get you about legal advice is to get legal advice, because you know what? You want to just make sure you make a good decision. The decision that you made to get to the issues is past. Now I just want to make sure you get the right decision going forward. UC says, "Who's your favorite wrestler?" Oh, I don't have a current favorite wrestler. I used to like all sorts of wrestlers. When I was a kid, I used to go to the WWF, or now WWE events, and I have some friends that are so very involved in it, that were actually family with the Iron, well, not the Iron Sheik. Yeah, the Iron Sheik. He was family with the Iron Sheik. Um, and I have an arm's length uh, relationship now with the wrestling community. I was asked if I wanted to get on in the ring for some promo stuff, and I had to decline because they wanted me to do it like on duty, like just rush in with the police car and then run into the ring, and I said no, that would be inappropriate. Dylan says, "Good morning, my friend," and I say, "Good morning to you, Dylan. Hope you're doing well." Okay, let's see here. Bro, what I'm talking about, go solve a crime or something, good guy. We actually have solved some amazing stuff on the show. Not on the show, but afterwards. Oh, David that wants to talk about the distances in stopping sorry, the difference in stopping distance for various speeds. I Dave, makes a good point. We should actually do some videos on it. Actually, there is a great video of it. It's on our account talking about the difference 5 kilometers can make in the amount of time it takes to stop. I don't have a good chart in front of me. This is we'll have to do a video, a dedicated video on it. Dave, you should come in and talk about this because Dave knows stuff and things. But yeah, the faster you go, the longer it takes to stop. So that definitely is something we need to focus on. What is this? Is it true in Ontario that driving on a 400 series under the speed limit with four ways, you can be charged? Well, w- why would you drive with your four ways on? How much below the speed limit would you go? If your vehicle is incapable of going faster, like it's in limp mode, it's broken, there's something wrong with it, you shouldn't be on a highway because you're impeding traffic. You're driving unnecessarily slow, or your vehicle is not capable of going faster. Thus, it's not safe for the highway. Uh, but yes, you can be charged for driving under the speed limit if it's significantly under the speed limit. Driving at the speed limit or just under it isn't unlawful. But why would you put your four ways on? That's silly. So I need more information. But yes, you can be charged for not interfering with for unnecessary slow driving. That's a charge. What is this? TPS traffic cop on a bike rode in front of my car while I was driving. I honked. Am I officer liable? If I knew what you were talking about, that would be very helpful. But are you talking about a motorcycle or bicycle? So that's one thing. Bike could be either. Uh, rode in front of your car while you were driving. Did they drive for a great distance in front of your car? Were you going to the same place? Like, I just don't know what you're asking. Why did you honk them? Did they cut you off? Like, I'm trying to speculate because I actually have no idea what you're asking me. You know, how old is too old to join the force? You're never too old. Um, I was 38 when I patched over from courts to police constable. I know in my class there was someone who was 51 or 52 years old. So you're never too old unless you're too old. If you don't meet the requirements, if you can't do the job physically, and if that is age specific, maybe then you'd be told. But you know what? I believe that you're only as old as you feel, and I think that you're probably well within the acceptable age range to make a change if you were interested in becoming a police officer. Which really means this is a perfect opportunity to chat about becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service. If you or someone you know is interested in becoming a police officer, now is the perfect time. You can go to www.tps.ca/careers. And when you do that, you'll be taken to the most magical of websites, this website, where you see smiling, happy people. Do you know why they're smiling and happy? Because they work for the Toronto Police Service. Oh, yes. More information about becoming a police officer can be found if you hit the police officer tab. There's the big apply now button. See, we make it blink like that. As you scroll down, you can find out what all the basic requirements are. It used to say 18 to 65. They've actually removed the age max because you can work beyond 65 now. Although I've not heard of anyone 65 joining. Just saying. Doesn't mean it hasn't happened. I'm not aware of it. It talks about all the responsibilities, all the expectations, how much you pay, what or get paid, what you get in terms of benefits. But I will say that benefits aren't the reason to join the service. It is a calling. It is because you want to help people. That is why. Uh, that's why you joined. That's why I joined. Special constable is a great position. That's actually how I started. It used to be called court officer. Now there's a new position with expanded responsibilities called special constable. Enforcement officer. When I was in courts, I got tired of being indoors. I wanted to be outside, and I wanted to become a parking enforcement officer. And I didn't actually do that, but I did apply for it. Communications operator, the magical people who answer the phone and take your call for help and then dispatch police officers to go and actually help you. Lateral hire is for police officers from other jurisdictions who want to come to our service from others. Auxiliary officer, I said I started as a special constable. I actually started as an auxiliary officer. I volunteered and had so much fun volunteering that I wanted to do it for a living, and I did. But I was then an auxiliary officer and a special constable at the same time. And then my favorite tab, the tab that I press every time, is civilian roles, which is where we see uh, all these civilian jobs and get to see what's available. There's currently 6 jobs. Talent acquisition advisor. So you can actually hire help help hire people to come join this magical service. We've got payroll coordinator, temporary admin clerk, parking enforcement officer, communications operator, and developer in the digital team. If you know somebody who might be interested in one of these jobs, send them to our website. We'd love to tell them all about these positions because we're always looking for good people who want to help other good people, and this is how we get good people to join by telling them about the job. So, Shay should check it out, get more information, talk to a recruiter. They're standing by right now. Actually, I don't know where they are. They may not be around. Let's see here. David that says even 5 kilometers an hour makes a big difference, and the final few meters. Uh, oh, he can't find the TikTok about it, but yeah, there's a great video, and it's gone viral several times. I've posted it over the years. Once a year, I usually put it up, and it usually gets to about 1 million views each time. And it's from the Traffic Accident Commission out of is it Queensland? Anyway, from Australia, and they talk about the fact that uh, you know when one car is going 60 and one is going 65, one uh, in their scenario hits the truck and the other one hits the truck but doesn't do much damage because it was going slower. They had a really successful campaign called Wipe Five Off, and the truth is 5 kilometers is important. Yet people do 20 and 30 and 40 kilometers over the speed limit without even blinking an eye. So go check out that video if you haven't already seen it. Is it legal if you only have one working taillight? What do you think? Guesses? Anyone? Truth is, in Ontario, you need to have two headlights, but you can legally have one working taillight. So if you have one out, we will probably give you a warning because you're not really eligible for a ticket. That said, if you have two at the beginning and you have one left and the bulbs are about the same age, you're probably going to lose the other one. And having no headlight or taillights, I should say, that is against the law. So I would suggest replacing both of them at the same time and, to avoid issues. What is your opinion on tint? Because I know it usually depends on the cop when it's tint. This is Res Rocket asking the question, and my answer is it's legal if it's not too dark, if it doesn't obscure the interior. But if I can't see you, I'm giving you a ticket. If it's over 30% light blockage, if it's so significant an amount of tint that I can't see it at all, it's more than 30%. I'm going to take your license plates. I'm going to get you. I'll call you a friendly tow truck, but you're not driving with that. And we've had people pull the tint off their vehicles just to be able to drive home and not have their vehicle, towed home because it's expensive to tow a vehicle. But not being able to see out the window is dangerous, and it's dangerous for a couple of reasons. One, you can't see out as well as you think you can, and people can't see you, which means it interferes with nonverbal communication. In addition, police need to be able to see inside to see if you're wearing your seatbelt, using your cell phone, drinking alcohol, just being able to identify you. Yeah, tint's pretty important. And I've written many tint tickets, but is it my focus? Was it ever my focus? No, my focus has always been on the stuff that leads to serious injury and death more often than tint does. Tint can be responsible for things like that or can contribute to it. But it's not the most dangerous thing on the road. There are other things that people are doing to put lives at risk and that require more attention. Yeah. Let's see here. Can I film? Oh, Toaster Media wants to know if they can film cars out the back of a vehicle if I'm wearing a proper safety harness. There is no proper safety harness that legalizes you not being in a proper seatbelt. You have to be in a seat with a proper seatbelt being worn properly. That is the only thing. Now, I put out a video recently, and Toaster Media, I assume you're familiar with the DJI Pocket Osmo. I saw a great adapter that someone used. I don't know if it was a tow hook adapter that they did it on or another variation, but um, basically putting a gimbal stabilized camera on the back of your vehicle for getting those rolling shots. That or doing it through the back window or building a mount for like a Ronin out the like that's properly secured to the vehicle. But at no point can you be outside it. No harness allows it. Now, the only time a harness would allow it is on a private track or private property where you're not. subjected or be required to follow the HTA, except for the parts that you are. Like you can't stunt drive on private property. All right. Oh, Aiden doesn't like police apparently, or doesn't like people who support police. He's accusing C3AB for being a police hype man. He's just trying to help. Uh, People in this community, and this is a community, even if you're just a tourist in it. There are people here all the time. They actually know the answers to questions, and very often they're going to try and help you because they know it's about 15 minutes behind. Like the question that I just put up on screen, or the statement and the argument, or whatever it is, the rude comment. Yeah, that was at 10:13. It's now 10:30, so it's about 15 minutes until I get to someone after they post a question. So someone in the comments trying to be helpful, why don't you show them some love instead of be frustrated with the fact that they are helping you? Yeah. Dylan asks if I'm a volunteer firefighter, can I put a green light on my off-road vehicle? I don't know about off-road. I don't know why you'd want to, but I don't. I'm truly not someone who's well versed in the off-road world because I don't go off-road. So that's a Sergeant Murray Campbell question. Now, on-road, if you're part of a volunteer fire service, having a green light gives you benefits of being or it gives you the benefit of asking for courtesy. When you're responding to an emergency, you put the green light on, people are supposed to pull over. I know you know this if you're a volunteer firefighter, but nobody else here in Toronto knows it because we don't have volunteer fire services in Toronto. But if you see a green light flashing in your rearview mirror, that's a volunteer firefighter trying to go help save the day in their own special way. And you should get out of the way. But it's not a legal requirement. It's just a courtesy. So if you don't do it, you know, morally you're horrible, but you don't get a ticket for it. Just saying. Off-road, I don't know why you'd want to have one on your off-road vehicle. Regardless of whether it's legal, I don't see the benefit. But that's just me. Maybe there's a benefit that I just don't know about. Uh, do, 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 do. What is this? Good. Oh, Richard says, good morning. Lots of wonderful driving going on right now, such as drivers doubling the speed limits. We have so many speeders. I mean, you're way up north, but at the same time, uh, we have so many people who just don't care about speeding because they don't understand the level of risk they're putting themselves um, in, and everyone else on the road. Like it's speeding is really dumb. Anyway, Richard is a professional driver and is often seeing all the hijinks on the road. Okay. AJ, I don't know how to make this into a name. Is there a way to complain to the Toronto Police Service about distracted drivers, i.e., excessive phone use? Well, any phone use is a distracted driving charge. And there are, if someone's all over the road, I've called in what I thought was an impaired driver. Turns out they were on the cell phone. I was in my personal vehicle heading home. But you know, sometimes they are truly a risk to others, and that's a 911 call. If they're all over the road, you don't know what they're doing. If you're just watching someone and they're in stop and go traffic on the phone, they'll get theirs. Don't waste police time because it's not, no one's going to get there in stop and go traffic in time to catch them. Now, you can make a report on our website if it happens to be in the city of Toronto. Um, Different website for different services. You can complain locally because obviously Toronto's not going to Ottawa. But anyway, you can make a report about a specific driver's driving. And if that includes cell phone use, so be it. Charges will likely not be laid because we need to be able to determine time, date, location, uh, the identity of the driver, and so on. And we'd have to have anyone who has that ability to come in and actually testify to it. So you can make the complaint. We'll conduct an investigation. We'll likely send a letter to the registered owner saying, hey, at this date and time, you were observed or your vehicle was observed being operated by a person who is doing this, that, and the other. And that just goes in file. Now, the next person to pull over that vehicle or see that vehicle and they run them, or let's say they're pulling them over for a cell phone offense, they say, well, they've been reported, seen out in the wild doing just this. This is not a first time situation. There's a history of it. Chances are courtesy won't be deployed. We got Curdle the Turtle says, I love that you're always live when I come to watch. Love the show, love learning our laws. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that you find value in what we do. As a, like not like the other people who complain about tax dollars being misspent because this is really good stuff. And If I, trying to flip the script, I would have loved to have access to a police officer back in the day when I was learning to drive. There's so many questions I had, and now I'm happy that I can help other people get answers to those very questions. Okay, what's this? Showtime John says, when being a parking enforcement, uh, what can you what can make you not pass probation, uh, or an officer for that matter? Well, obviously, if you're just not doing a good job, like you're being evaluated while you're on probation, and if you break any laws or rules, if you're getting into issues and you're not showing up when you're supposed to show, like anything could have you not pass probation. I imagine, like you're constantly being evaluated by coach officers, and if you aren't good, they should get rid of you before you finish your probation. Okay. Just a reminder to please put the letter Q in front of a question so I know it's a question and not just banter amongst everyone around here because we chat amongst ourselves sometimes. And here's one with has a Q. See, look, the question in the Q in the question. Is it true on 400 highways going under the speed limit? We answered this one already, so I'm going to skip. You may have popped out while we were answering it, but yes, you can be charged. But again, I don't understand what people's obsession is with four-way flashers. That's for when your vehicle is not moving, not when it's raining, not when you're going slow. Why turn them on? People have eyes. They look, they see. They're all responsible for their own speed. Okay. I got a ticket for going 53 and a 40. Good on you. 13 over is against the law. You deserve the ticket if you went 53 and a 40. I don't know why this is shocking. 53 is in a 40 is 13 over. In a 40-kilometer zone, I would have given you a ticket for 10 over or 8 over or 5 over potentially. 5 over is pretty. I don't generally stop people for 5 over, but 13 over, heck yeah. 15 over and a 60, I charge people for speeding. It's 25% over the limit. Totally ludicrous. Let's see here. Matthew Barnes says, so it is not against the law, it is just legal for a fee. Matthew, the context of your statement is, well, not there. I don't know what you're talking about. Fees or the fines are there to remind people that it sucked and suggest or, you know, persuade them potentially or dissuade them from doing it again. If it was free instead of a fee, maybe there's no incentive to not do it again. Like if it instead of a fee, or a fine, they took your favorite baseball card. I'm trying to put it into terms you'd understand. What would you lose that means something to you? Most people, it's money, being able to have that extra cash to go see a movie, to feed their family. There's a consequence. They're not chopping off limbs, which in some countries maybe they would. Um, and that certainly it leaves a lasting impression. But that's not what we do here. We affect your pocketbook. Mind you, jail or could be an option, but I think most people would consider that to be heavy-handed. Who'd have thunk? Let's see here. I just got a parking ticket for parking overnight, but there's no sign around the court. J-Lo, I don't know where you were parked, but in the city of Toronto, if you park for more than 3 hours, it's a ticket. Its signs are stated when you enter the city. So even though there's no sign where you parked necessarily, it's in play everywhere in the city of Toronto, and signs were posted when you entered. I have 3 tickets for not having my ID on me because my wallet got robbed from me. Okay. Well, go get a new card. And the instant you walk in the front door at the Ministry of Transportation, well, the instant you walk in, you take a number and you wait in line. But once you get to talk to someone and you say, hi, this is me, and I lost my wallet or it was stolen or what have you, they issue you a temporary license. So the excuse of, well, I lost it or it was stolen has no bearing. If you had 3 tickets, means you haven't figured out how to go to the ministry and replace it. And that's your responsibility. You should not be driving until you have your license on you because you're legally required and responsible to surrender it upon demand of a police officer. That's it. JLo says, how do I go about disputing the parking ticket? Well, you can certainly try, but but good luck because the laws are not about whether or not you found out that it was against the law. You ought to have known. What is this? Showtime John, like, put it in caps. because I didn't answer them while people think I'm ignoring them. There's about a 15-minute lag between the time you ask a question till I see it, just based on the fact that I'm reading other comments. People get so angry. Where am I going here? Scrolling down, scrolling. There we go. Um, Linda says, "Good morning, hero. Thank you all you do to teach us. Love you all." Linda's a big supporter, and see, this heart's there. Big supporter of the police, who jumps in all the time from Facebook. Welcome back to the show. Let's see here. Neha says, LMAO, I don't have tickets because I can't afford to pay them or lose my driving privilege. Well, that's it. And once again, another congratulations for just getting your G class license. Neha, who has been watching the show forever and ever and ever. And you're absolutely right. If you can't afford to pay tickets, they say don't. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Yeah, I mean, no one should do the crime. No one should break the law. It's so easy to follow the rules. Okay. I have nothing to prop up my phone. I need it for directions. Should I put it in my lap? If you put it in your lap, you can get a ticket, $615, 3 days suspension, 3 demerit points on conviction. You cannot have it in your lap. You have to go buy a mount. The only way you can use your GPS in your phone on your phone is if it's mounted. If it's not mounted, it's against the law. Now, I will say this: your phone will give you audible directions, audio directions, even if the screen is not visible to you. And you can have it. Tell it to give you prompts: turn left, turn right, do that thing. As long as you use a standard voice, it'll even tell you street names. At least on an Apple, it will. And the reason I mention that is because if you are putting it in your cup holder, you're looking down at it, you're being unsafe. Whether or not you're going to get a ticket is irrelevant. It's that you're being unsafe and it could lead to collision, which is not safe. But the cost of a suction cup mount is so minimal, or a vent mount. Go to a dollar store. For under $5, you could be legal today. In fact, when you're finished watching the show, go buy it at the dollar store. I don't know why it's not called the $5 store now, because it seems like everything's $5. But certainly don't be doing what you're talking about doing, because it'll get you in trouble. Can I drive on the highway with a G2? Yes, you can. And G2, the only restrictions, M1s and G1s. Okay. Native Pride says, you guys do a lot of good for our community. Well, I really appreciate that. I'm glad that you feel that way. Uh, I love that Stella on the Rock is giving me attitude and demanding things. We still haven't determined whether or not you're from Newfoundland. Okay. Yesterday, there was a cop on their phone, and if I have footage, what can I do with it? You can do anything you like with it, but I have news for you. It's not against the law for police officers to use their cell phones, nor is it illegal for ambulance or fire persons whilst driving official vehicles to use their devices. They're legally exempt under the Highway Traffic Act. But there are other people who are also exempt, including ham radio operators. If they're licensed ham radio operators, they're allowed to use their handheld communication devices. You, in the event that you're calling the police for an emergency, are allowed to use your handheld communication device. So what you have there is someone who is 911 making an official call. Now, if they're ordering pizza, they're breaking the law. You won't be able to do much with that. But if you really feel it's wrong, make a complaint. You're more than welcome to. I'm not trying to dissuade you from complaining. I'm simply saying that we're legally permitted to. Do I have to pay a private parking ticket from a building? If it's truly a private ticket, not endorsed by the, I think they call them MLEOs, which is metro licensing. So essentially, the police can train people and have them write tickets on behalf of the city. If it's officially a city endorsed ticket, that's a city ticket. It'll have implications. If it's a Bob's convenience ticket, that is not necessarily enforceable, but it means they could take you to small claims court. They could, they could tow you. I mean, there's a bunch of things they could do on their own, but you have to pay it. It's a civil matter at that point. Oh, Linda's from the Rock too. Right on. I've been meaning to get out to Newfoundland. I have not gone to visit. A friend of mine who has since passed away, sadly, Used to love going annually to photograph the puffins. And after he invited me to go on these photography trips, and I never went. And after he died, I really wanted to go and see what he was all about. There you go. Mike B says, should speed limits be reviewed due to the fact that vehicles have much better safety features now? Um, I don't think we should be going any faster. First, I think that before we can go faster, we need to make sure that we have absolutely zero injuries or collisions on the road, because the reason that we have a lot of these collisions on the road is due to speed. People are going too fast. They can't react fast enough to slow down and stop. Thus, they hit things in front of them. Faster you go, the longer it takes to stop, the more impact and damage is caused, and the more risk to injury we deal with. And you're absolutely right. We do have better technology now. So vehicles have better brakes. We have the ability to steer while braking. For those who didn't know how to use threshold braking back in the day, they now just hammer that button, and the computers help them not lock up and allow them to continue to steer. By the way, ABS takes longer to stop, and I'm not directing this to you directly, Mike. I'm saying for everyone watching. People often say, "Well, it's got ABS; it's going to be able to stop." No, it takes longer to stop with ABS than it does by just locking up the brakes. But you can steer to avoid, which is a benefit. Okay, uh, so people in the car are more protected because of airbags, and crush zones and whatnot that absorb impact. So yeah, there's lots of safety things, and the reason we have so many people who survive serious injuries in the car, well, that's due to technology. But we could avoid collisions if we just drove safely. And pedestrians tend to like we have tremendous number of pedestrians being seriously injured and killed, and that's because of driving and often driving too fast. So I think we've got the right now yeah, I read the Rock's question. Uh the next question. So we could uh we had, like, what was it, 45 people in the city of Toronto last year who were killed because of collisions. And I think 27, like, there's a ridiculous overrepresentation that were pedestrians. We've reduced speed limits to make it safer for them, because doing 30, 40, and 50 makes it safer for pedestrians. Faster, definitely not going to help them. And when we get to autonomous vehicles, I don't think anybody's going to speed anyway. Bum. Okay. What do you think of Russia advancing into the US? I don't generally talk about international events. I mean, obviously, not good things. The world is in an interesting place right now. I'm not going to get into it or comment on it, but obviously, we don't want anyone. War bad. Is it safe to say that? I think it is. Oh, I lost my thing. Where did we go here? Oh, there we go. I love that. Now we've gone to all caps. I've addressed the question. If you didn't pay attention, you go watch the rerun on YouTube. Okay. Uh, More than Polk's a Hulkamaniac. Right on. Very cool. Have you seen recent footage of him? I've seen glimpses and things on YouTube. Um, I will say that these guys were amazing athletes, regardless of whether or not the outcome of a match was fixed or predetermined in the script. But they were truly athletes. I met who did I meet? I met the Jimmy Superfly Snuka. I mean, that guy was amazing, and a lot of the guys that I see now, and I don't think he was walking with a cane. The What are the other guys that I met? I'm trying. I can see them in my mind's eye, but I can't remember the name. Who was the big Russian guy? And then the big guy. He was the counterpart or the to the Iron Sheik. What was his name? Anyway, okay. Joseph wants to know if Jason Scoop will visit Toronto. I don't know who Jason Scoop is. I don't know who we're talking about. No idea. Um, I don't know what's going on here. I'd love to find Stella's comment. Um, what are my thoughts on squeeze bends? I don't know what that is. Let's see here. Okay, we covered that. Do you think front window tints and front plates are the end of the world? No, not the end of the world. However, I'd pull you over and ticket you for them. So front window tints, absolutely unsafe. I covered this. Front and license plate covers. If I can't read your plate, I'm ticketing you for it. So I think that it's very simple. Follow the rules or don't follow the rules. But if you choose not to follow the rules, you're now playing my game, and I get to write you a ticket. It's so simple. It's end of the world. How many? Like, how much of a law are you supposed to follow, and how much of a law am I supposed to enforce? It's an all or nothing thing. It's black and white. There's no gray here. Simple. What is this? Nihao wants to know what's the detailed legal circumstances of BAC more than zero. I know it's 0.05 after 20. Oh, okay. So, if we're talking about impaired operation or how much alcohol you can have in your blood while operating a motor vehicle, there's an Ontario limit under the HTA and there's a criminal limit under the Criminal Code of Canada. If you're and there's also the consequences or conditions of a graduated license holder. So if you have a graduated license or a learner's permit, a G1, a G2, you are subjected to or required to have a zero blood alcohol content, period. If you are 22 years or older and have a full G or full M for that matter, you can have up to 0.05 or at 0.049 BAC. That's not a good idea. You could be impaired at that point. You can still get arrested, but for the purposes of blood alcohol content, the charge doesn't apply. And if you're not impaired by drugs or alcohol, sorry, we'll stick with alcohol. Point if you're not impaired at that point, you're not going to be arrested for that. Let's say, but you just blow a fail, sorry, a warn 0.049 is nothing. 0.05 to 0.079 is a warn range. You're going to get an administrative suspension. That applies to someone who is 22 with a full license or older. 0.08 is criminal under the Criminal Code of Canada. So I've gone down a rabbit hole of making it more confusing, and I apologize. 0 to 0.049 legal amount of alcohol for the purposes of blood alcohol content. However, you still could be impaired based on observations an officer makes. And of course, if you have a learner's permit or you're under the age of 22, you can have 0. So that would any one of those readings would apply and you'd be suspended. If you are 22 and over, you can have up to that number and get a warrant. Okay, 0.05, you're no longer legally permitted to drive. You're going to get a 3 or 7 day, or what does it go at 7 days, a 10-day suspension? Depends on how many times you've warned within 10 years. And then there's courses and consequences. And then 0.08 and above, you're arrested for that. Now, you could always be arrested for impaired because you may not have the amount of alcohol required for the little box to tell you. But if your actions, your behavior says you're impaired, and the officer believes that, they're going to arrest you based on that. Because it could be a combination of drugs and alcohol. So you could have less alcohol, but lots of drugs or some drugs. Then you go to a drug recognition expert for evaluation. Yeah. Is it illegal for someone to drive with an intoxicated passenger in the front seat? No, Sean. Good name, by the way, proper spelling. There is no law saying that you cannot transport a drunk person in your car. Obviously, if they're interfering with your ability to drive, backseat might be better, but there's no law saying that you have to put them in a different position. They have to wear their seatbelt and all that jazz. Do trailers need license plates? Yes, I believe they do. I've never met a trailer that didn't, although I had heard that small, tiny, itty bitty trailers that don't block the taillights and don't block things may not, but I can't confirm that. I've always operated under the belief that you have to have a trailer plate on a trailer. Okay, let's see here. Scrolling through some stuff and things. An example for my question would be towing a trailer and going slower than the flow of traffic. Why are you going slower? Because you're towing a trailer. Is your vehicle not capable of safely towing the trailer at speed? Like stay to the right if you're traveling at the speed limit, or you don't have to do the speed limit. Like if you're in 100, I think this is the 401 question. So if you're in a 100-kilometer-an-hour zone, you're doing 60, you shouldn't be on the highway. If you're in a 100-kilometer-an-hour zone, you're doing 90, it's perfectly legal, stay to the right. Michael H says, remember that Toonie Tuesday is still a thing? Is that at KFC? Toonie Tuesday, or is it, where are we talking about a movie theater? I want to know because I like movies and I like chicken. Just saying. Duh, duh, duh. Driving under suspension charge for unpaid fine that was due 5 days earlier, nothing in my mail. So if you, you have to have been, it's, I believe it's 7 days. If you were deemed to have been suspended, whether you received it in the mail or not, if 7 days has elapsed from the time that it was, um, in court, so the suspension took effect. I believe it's been a long since it's been a long time since I've talked about this, but I think it's 7 days. So if it's 7 days from the suspension effective date, whether you got it in the mail or not, you're suspended. If it was within, the benefit of the doubt is provided. You're not charged for suspension, um, but you are notified roadside. So those dates are important. I would check with the courts because if it's truly 5 days, I don't think the charge is valid. Get some legal advice. Avandro, what's going on, my friend? Says, good morning, Sean, your Brazilian fan, watching again, and I appreciate you. Uh, Avandro, who is an auxiliary constable with the Peel Regional Police and an avid TikToker now. Avandro takes content that we produce here and translates it into Portuguese and Spanish for his community, which is awesome. We appreciate him. Okay. Evandro wants me to explain about impaired driver versus level of alcohol in blood. A lot of people misunderstanding this. Two details. Persons have different tolerance for alcohol. Okay. One is a measurement from a scientific instrument that's capable of saying your blood alcohol content is this. And if you, you could be straight as an arrow. You could be doing jumping jacks, push-ups, and writing math tests. If your blood alcohol content is high enough, it's against the law regardless of your behavior. So blood alcohol content doesn't necessarily mean that you are impaired, at least not for the same measurement. Because there are people who are functional alcoholics. They drink every day and they, operate fairly normally, even though they have, as much booze that would, drive most people into the, fall asleep and dribble from their lips. Whereas somebody else could have a very small amount of alcohol and act in a way that you would classify as drunk. They're impaired. Even though they had one glass of wine, they could be and at that point, they are still eligible for charges under the criminal code because they're impaired by drugs or alcohol, even though their blood alcohol content may not be high. The thing is, everyone deals with alcohol and drugs differently. What may take someone a lot of alcohol to get to the same, fall down drunk behavior, somebody else may take one drink and have that reaction. So I'm glad you asked the question. I hope that answer helps you. It helps everybody else. Uh, what would happen if you're out practicing as a G1 driver and you end up needing to use an emergency detour route on a 400 series highways? What do you? Oh, so you're directed by sign. There's a detour. There's no other way to go. You're forced on. I imagine that would be acceptable because there's no other way for you to. If there's no other way for you to go, like that's the only route. Uh, Now, really, you're a G1, so you have another driver with you, and to be absolutely proper, you could switch. You could pull off the road. The licensed G class driver who has the authority to drive on the highway should be the one to drive on the highway. But if it was something sprung upon you, it would be unsafe to pull over. I think you could probably explain that away. But technically speaking, you're breaking the condition. And there are a couple of highways that are exempt because they're the only roads in and out of a community, and that you need to look at those and find out whether any of these qualify. Ideally, the best thing to do is switch with the qualified driver. Northern Pike says KFC is pretty gross these days. I haven't had KFC in probably 10 years, maybe 8 years. Lifetime license suspension for impaired driving causing death, ignition interlock device mandatory, longer roadside licensing, license suspensions, clarifying the rules, allowing police to demand a breath test. I don't understand the context of your statement, but I don't disagree with any of these things. Just to let you know that although I'm at 10:30 on the the list of questions coming in. It's now 11 o'clock. So any questions asked after 11 o'clock will not make it into today's show. I will work to get through the next the questions that have been asked from now until 11 o'clock. So we're still here for about 15, 20 minutes at least. That said, no questions asked after 11 o'clock will be answered. And that's only because I cannot do this until 12 midnight. It'll never end if I don't put a line in the sand. Okay. What do we got here? What do we got here? Do you guys stop people riding electric bikes? I know these laws on it, but do you guys enforce it? This question is from BlazeBot. The answer is yes. Two things. One, if someone's driving or riding, I should say, an electric bicycle that is being modified and they're going faster than 32 kilometers an hour, it is no longer an e-bike and is not protected by the benefits provided under the HTA treating it as a bicycle. It's a motor vehicle. It's a motorcycle. License, ownership, and insurance, speeding offenses, all those things apply. And we have a lot of people out there on the road who are taking advantage, making their vehicles that were purchased and that are on the road without license, ownership, and insurance as an e-bike, and then they're making them into motorcycles, putting people's lives at risk. Using the roads in an unsafe way. And people can say, "Well, what's the big deal?" And I would respond with this: if I bought a Tesla, but I only drove it at 32 kilometers an hour, is it no longer a car? Because that's what people are doing with these e-bikes. They're taking a bike that is only allowed to be capable of doing 32 kilometers an hour, and they're having them do 70 to 80 kilometers an hour. Obviously, those bikes were not designed and are not safe to do that, and certainly not given the benefit of operating without motor vehicle coverage. So we absolutely enforce them. Okay. Richard has to go, so we say goodbye to Richard, who has to go to work. And okay, we covered that one. Greetings and salutations from Michaela Draconis, who's coming in late to the game, 10:49. My goodness. With a dad joke, I appreciate that because never enough dad jokes. That was uncalled for, wasn't it? Okay. I didn't think it was going to be quite that loud. I need to turn that down a bit. Okay. We got a quote and a dad joke from Michaela. Okay. Okay. Question from Paul. No, pull in ceasefire. No, pull in case of fire. No spaces between words makes it hard to read. Okay. Do police in Toronto issue tickets for wide turns? Example, turning left from lane 1, lane 2, almost crashing into the. Yes, it's an improper turn. If you turn left, you need to go into the leftmost lane. If you turn right, you need to go into the rightmost lane. Curb lane to curb lane, left lane to left lane. It's just the way it's done. It's actually prescribed by the HTA. If you go wide and you end up in the wrong lane, you are absolutely making an improper turn, and you would be eligible for a ticket of $110. Of course, if you cause a collision in doing so, you would also be charged in relation to that collision. I think it's a great question. We occasionally talk about it. It's an important thing to talk about. No way. Did that just magically end, or did the TikTok break? I think TikTok broke. Yeah, because I'm only getting YouTube questions here. That's funny, Jen. Nikki Mitchell says, "Love your work. Thank you. You're very welcome." I'm looking over at TikTok because the the scraping of the comments, it broke. So let me go back and look. I said I was leaving. I was totally prepared to speak till 11:30, but I'm seeing now that TikTok's being ignored. So let's go back and see about TikTok questions that need attention. Stand by. Okay. I'm going to do some little cut and paste, and I'll throw these up here. Really annoying when that happens. I mean, it's magical that it's been working for so long, but it sometimes it doesn't work. All right. Technical difficulties. They're not that technical. They're just difficulties. All right. I'll scroll through here and see what we can do to try and give some attention to those who asked and were being ignored. One user on Instagram says, "How many beers is equal to 0.05 for level G?" It depends on the person. There's no specific number that I can provide you since everybody absolutely deals with alcohol differently. Can I make a transfer to TSV while under probation from other division? Chances are you would need to. Do you mean like you're a brand new officer? Can you then transfer? At the college, you would have been able to make a request to be here if they were taking persons. Once you finish probation, you could certainly ask. This is for an officer or someone who's applying and may want to come to traffic services. I'm assuming. All right. Can dispatch be from home? No, dispatch is from the control center. Like I don't think they do work from home for dispatch. Although that would definitely make it appealing. Oh my goodness! Hang on a second. I gotta check this out. Where is this person? I can't scroll back anymore. Come on. Now it's letting me. Can I do it? Sorry, as I stare into trying to find something. Oh, it's not gonna let me do this easily. No, it's not. Oh well. All right. I thought I could. I thought I could. Maybe I still can. Give me one more minute. One more second. One more moment. I don't know. I'm just buying time. Switching accounts there. There we go. All right. Do OPP have a no pursuit policy? That's OPP. I don't know. I'm not with them. Uh, one more question. Oh, Cedric wants to know if I've been told before it's illegal to drive without a shirt bare chested. No, it's not illegal to do that. There's nothing in law that says you have to wear a shirt while driving. Um, do most people prefer if you wear a shirt? Possibly, but it's not against the law. Okay. We got. There we go. Want to jump into the live stream. All right. Now we've got Todd who says lots of bad cops, especially in Toronto. I don't know what lots is. Obviously, nobody likes a bad cop. And when we find them, we prosecute them and get rid of them because nobody likes a bad cop as much as a good cop hates a bad cop. So, uh, do we let people know when we find one? Yeah, that's why it's in the media. We're very open and transparent about it. We just arrested somebody that's alleged to have done some pretty bad stuff. I don't know if they did it or didn't do it, but they've been charged for it and they're being suspended while that goes forward. So yeah, there's also I got news for you: bad doctors, bad lawyers, bad priests, bad everybody, because people wear a uniform, people take jobs, and people aren't always good. We hope for the best, doesn't always work out. We do a lot of work to try and to keep bad actors out. Some people lie, even to us. Oddly enough, a lot of people lie to us. Okay. Silken Cloud says, I've got a question regarding speed limits. If a bicycle exceeds 100 kilometers an hour, is that illegal? I don't know anyone on a bicycle that can do 100 kilometers an hour. Pedal bike, we're talking about. But bicycles can't receive tickets for speeding. Get tickets for other things, but not speeding. Because it says motor vehicle, and a bicycle isn't a motor vehicle. However, a bicycle with a motor that goes more than 32 kilometers an hour is a motorcycle. It is a motor vehicle. Okay. Excuse me. So Regent says, I think what cops think is a bad cop and what the populace thinks is a bad cop are two. We're talking criminality, Regent. Someone who is the best cop because they smile a lot more than someone who tells you, where to go when you're being, where telling you where to go might be appropriate. One's rude and one's, uh, a criminal. Well, rude may not be ideal for you, but may be a good cop. And criminal is criminal, and there's no question about criminality. They're criminals. So there you go. Okay. What do we got here? Moving on. If someone's tailgating you and what is this? If someone's tailgating you and you run your windshield wipers with spray, works most of the time. Depending on how poorly your windshield wipers, I've seen that where the stream goes above the car and lands on the person behind. Yeah, it could freak someone out. I wouldn't try and do that. What's the most serious scenario you have been in as a traffic officer? Other than one where someone drove into me and, like, I was on a motorcycle and they hit me? Do you mean, like, when I was riding or, like, something where I was riding by and got flagged down because someone was, um, threatening someone with a knife? Like, what we're cops, so we run into everything. We assist people for calls. Like, there's no traffic cops don't just do one thing. We do everything and some. Can I make a left-hand turn at a red light onto a one-way street? Jay, great question. Only if you are on a one-way street turning onto another one-way street in the province of Ontario, then you could, in fact, do that. Okay. Having taillights and headlights out is so dangerous in the dark. Absolutely. Probably talking about the fact that you need two headlights and only one taillight to be legal. Followed a cop with one headlight, stopped him. His excuse was, "We put so many miles on our cars." That's from Todd Booter. Uh, we do circle checks before our shift. If that light went out, um, it would be during the shift, and at which point it would go into the garage. And technically, if he was close to the garage, he should go in. We have garage that's open, I think, till 11 p.m. So he'd be able to go and get it fixed and be taken out of service for that purpose. So yeah, it may not have been something they noticed, and if they did notice, then they should have taken care of it. But it's also possible that there were no cars available on the road, and I mean cars being there was no police officers required for that sector, and it would be unsafe to take them out of service to go change a light bulb when they may be needed to respond to a call for service, for 911 helping people. But it's not a good look. But we also don't like change our own light bulbs. We have mechanics to do that. Maybe we should just carry spare bulbs. No, it's not safe for us to do that. Hunched over a car in the middle of the night as a police officer, if you're alone, not good. Plus, they probably break it. Let's see here. Right, gear ratio. I don't know what we're talking about. Gear ratios. They're saying that you can do 100 kilometers an hour on a pedal bike with the right gear ratios. Interesting. Can a G2 driver cross the border? The answer is yes. Why is the OPP becoming so harsh in the car scene? Everyone is so harsh in the car scene because the car scene is breaking a lot of rules. If you are a legal driver, your car is legal, it's following all the rules, and you're not going to be, no one's going to be harsh on you because you're not doing anything wrong. Harsh is I guess someone not turning a blind eye to your breaking the law. That's not harsh. That's just being a cop. We're not going to turn a blind eye. Is it possible to ticket someone who goes from the Queensway to merge lane to skip traffic? I'm trying to visualize this. You mean gets off the highway, gets back on, or just jumps onto the off ramp lane and then jumps back on? So if you're at any point driving off the roadway, you could be ticketed. If you're driving in such a way that you are making if they're doing it in a way that they're making the roads unsafe, they're erratic. It could be a number of charges available. Truth Social says, "How do I report a cop using cell phone on red lights?" Well, Truth Social. Oh no, it's not Truth Social. It's Truth School. Hang on. Oh no, it's Truth SCHKI. I don't know how to pronounce you. But the truth is, police officers in the province of Ontario are legally permitted to use their cell phone, computer, handheld radio. They're legal. So there's not much to report. You can certainly report, but it's not against the rules. So Owen says, "I see it every day during rush hour, and it's aggravating. If you mean people breaking the law, using their phones, doing things to make the roads less safe, then I see the same thing that you see, and it is aggravating." What do we got here? Boom, boom, boom. Scanning. How can you prove that the person during a hit and run in a parking lot was aware they hit you? It doesn't matter whether they were aware they hit you, that you made contact and left is ultimately it. If you can prove that the vehicles made contact and did damage and then the person left, that's going to be sufficient. Truth is, it's you're responsible, and then you're responsible. Let's see here. Sika says, "I have 5%." Maybe that's a flag. I think those icon text is it's Ahmed who says, "I have 5% in front and back. I haven't been bothered about it." Do you mean 5% light getting through? 5% tint So you have 95% getting through. If you have 95% of light getting through, you're not breaking the law. If you have only 5% getting through, you're absolutely illegal, and you have not met me or any of my colleagues because they would take your plates away. Yeah. Okay. Oh, Matthias wants to know if they can ride their dirt bike downtown and what would the penalty be if I'm caught. Well, if you're talking about an off-road dirt bike that is not licensed for the road and not insured for the road, we're talking about driving in off-road vehicle on road. But the bigger one, and we won't even worry about the other stuff because it pales in comparison. You're driving an uninsured motor vehicle. You might be insured for the trails, but you would be uninsured for the road. It's a $5,000 to $25,000 fine for driving without proper insurance, and that's going to hurt a whole lot. $5,000 to $25,000. Oh, and up to 6 months in jail. Let's see here. I'm onlineable. What do traffic signs with yellow background mean, i.e., turn restrictions or speed limits? White ones are regulated, yellow ones are cautionary, so they're not enforceable. Okay. What is this? Are gloves mandatory when riding a motorcycle? Absolutely not. No, gloves are not. They're a really good idea um, for grip and for sliding on the road. When with not having the gloves would mean your skin would be no bad. Road rash bad. Is lane splitting legal in Toronto? No, it's not legal anywhere in Canada. Uh, it's careless driving at least. It's distracted driving. Sorry, not distracted driving. It's stunt driving or criminal dangerous driving at best. Yeah, really depends. Oh, uh, Leanin 5.3 makes a really dumb statement. Says 160 and a 50 is the way to go. Just don't stop. If you do stop, we're going to arrest you. That's not just a speeding ticket. That is criminal dangerous driving. That's one that you know. I don't think that our punishments are nearly harsh enough. If someone is going to actually do something that dumb, they need to have much more harsh responses. Like lose your license forever. Your kids should lose their license because you did something stupid. There's something has to happen because people do really dumb stuff and get away with it. I don't know if they're trying to be funny or not. I don't find it funny. What is this? What are the rule for uncovered lamps on light bars? I'm not aware of any rule requiring you to cover a light. That said, you can have no more than 4 lights active that are more than 300 candela, and off-road lights are not street legal, so you can't have them on. But I don't think you have to chart that. I'm not aware of anything that says you have to cover them. Okay. Okay. What do we have here? Stunt driving charge, part 3, pretty serious under POA. Okay. Yeah. Scrolling. Sorry. With Ontario removing the requirement for license plate stickers, it's a question from Jim. Where's the rest of Jim's question? I don't see a follow-up, Jim. But maybe I can just assume that you were going to ask, like, do you have to take the sticker off? You can take the sticker off. In terms of the requirement where it'll automatically renew, my suggestion is go to TrafficCop.ca and sign up for the reminders because we have reminders. The Ontario or the MTO has reminders and allows them, they will text you or email you or call you to say to them if there's an issue. But if you aren't registered for that, I don't think they have a way of contacting you anymore. Someone asking about boats. I don't know anything about boats. I have my boater's card, but I couldn't tell you anything about, DIY boats, which is what they're asking. Um, how long till 2 demerit points are removed from your license for a small speeding infraction? Points stay on your license for 2 years from the date of the offense. So if you are waiting to go to trial, it takes you 2 years. You never get the points. Points are for tracking your driving behavior with the ministry. It's got nothing to do with your insurance. The conviction stays on your license for 3 years from the date of the conviction, and that's what your insurance cares about. Okay. Logan wants to know if you stop people riding electric bikes such as Surons. Yes, Surons are motorcycles, not bicycles, and we absolutely stop and charge those. Whenever I've seen them, I've stopped them. even if just like I'm not even in uniform anymore. I'm in uniform on the show, but I don't go on the road patrolling in uniform. I don't go on the road patrolling anywhere. But whenever I've been on the road, even in front of the comic book show, like I went to, I was working at the what's it called, Fan Expo last year, and at Fan Expo, I ran into a guy towing a trailer with a Suron, and we had a discussion about the fact that that vehicle is eligible for that no insurance uh, charge. He walked it away. He didn't want any of that. Okay. This is what I want to know is if you pull over the CEO of TELUS for speeding, what's his punishment? He gets the ticket for speeding. Why wouldn't they get a ticket for speeding? It's not a percentage of their salary, although we talked about that could be a good idea, but they get a speeding ticket. That's all it is. Um, is there a penalty for merging over the double solid line in the HOV on the highways? Those are the only places they have signs saying you cannot do it. So yes, there's a ticket for that. I don't know if it's $150. I want to say 150. Let's see here. Oh, just looking over at the YouTube for a second. If my M1 expires, let's say on June 29th, can I retake the M1 again before it expires, or do I have to wait till the expiration date? As far as I know, you can just take it anytime and pay again. But I don't, I don't know if you have to wait till you. I don't think you have to wait till you expire. I think you just do it again. I don't know what the TELUS boss obsession is. Dylan says, if you pulled me over, I would not even be mad. Well, thank you, Dylan. Not everybody that I've pulled over in the past has agreed with you. Nobody likes getting a ticket, oddly. Okay. We talked about private parking lots already. Why on driver's license numbers so long and a pain querying on UPS? On UPS, CPIC. I don't know. The numbers that the driver's license number is unique to you. So the reason they're so long is because they have to be able to encode your name. Like it's you, your personal identifier with your date of birth in it. So knowing that your date of birth is part of it, there still has to be unique identifiers to identify you as the person who's that age. It's not that hard to look either. Boom. Robert says the loose moose. Are we talking about the bar in Eglinton? Is that still around? I can't afford a. Justin took your phone holder money. That's good, Jeremy. Okay. I think we're almost through this too. Is it clear signage? What is this? There's lots of dialogue here. Social insurance numbers. Do you guys stop people? We talked about this. I've answered it like 10 times. Or you asked it 10 times. I've answered it already, though. Sorry, I'm in my head reading all these things. I got so many things going on here. It's all good. Randy wants to know, why do TikTok members feel that traffic laws don't apply to them? Question and learn from the explanations provided. Um, Most people don't seem to think that the rules apply to them. I don't understand. I think we do have an issue with entitlement, and I'm not calling anyone out in particular. I just think that people think that these things don't mean anything, that there's nothing important about them. Well, they really are important, and they make a difference. By the way, hi, Randy. Justin says, I think it's Justin. I have a clean record. I'm young and I know my roads. I was driving in a 50 that turns into an 80, so I sped up early with traffic and got a ticket for 30 over. Do you think it was fair? So you just told me in your question that you sped up early before it turned into an 80. So you were doing 30 over in the area that you were speeding early in. It had not changed into an 80. In your question, you've pled guilty. I wouldn't use that defense in court because you'd be pleading guilty to the offense. Is it fair? I don't particularly think that fishing in that area where I know everyone's going to be accelerating is what I would do. But that's me. And is it legitimate? Like, were you speeding? Sounds like. Uh, yeah. And it's going to hurt your license and your insurance and all that jazz. But it's not a matter of fair. It's whether you broke the law or not. It's fair because you did it. Just because I wouldn't do it doesn't change the fact that you did it. And I got pulled over in front of the 80 sign. Oh, so it's just to double down on the fact that you were doing 80 and were able to stop by the time that the 80 sign where you would have been legal started, means that you were speeding in a 50 zone, 30 over. Yeah. Sounds like you were really early for that 80 sign. Just saying. All right. We're wrapping up. I'm just trying to find some more of these questions because there's a lot of repetition here. Neil wants to know about Drake or Kendrick. I don't follow this stuff. Let's see here. I got a ticket for, what is this? I got a ticket for I think you meant not wearing my seatbelt all the way, and it cost me $240. How avoid it since it's my first? So you were not wearing your seatbelt all the way. Does that mean you were wearing it improperly? How do you avoid it? Wear your seatbelt properly, and you don't get a ticket. But how do you defend against something you did? I can't give you a defense. You did it. You can go to court and you can say you didn't know, and even then it's not a defense. You can go to court and say you have no money, and that's possibly something that would give you the ability to get a payment plan to pay over time. But there's no defense for it, right? You either did or didn't do it. You either followed the law or you didn't. You got a ticket because you were observed not following the law. I don't have a defense for you, nor is it my place to give you a defense. There really isn't a defense. Can I ride my electric scooter? Sorry, let me rephrase. Allison says, can I ride on my electric wheelchair impaired? So it's an interesting conversation. If you are on an electric scooter, which is where my mind immediately went when I read your question, an electric scooter, you could be charged for impaired operation. You cannot drive a motor vehicle on an electric scooter, Segway, balance board, one wheel EUC, kick scooter, e-bike. Those are all motor vehicles under the Criminal Code of Canada. However, an electric wheelchair is not. So you could, because you're considered a pedestrian in your wheelchair, you could ride your electric wheelchair as a pedestrian whilst over the legal limit of alcohol, because you're not on a motor vehicle. That is you as a pedestrian. So there you go. Hussein asks, can you Apple CarPlay on the mirror? The mirror? I don't know what you're at. CarPlay doesn't run in the mirror. It runs on your infotainment system in very specific places that are deemed to be safe. Not in the mirror. I don't know what system you're hacking to get CarPlay in your mirror, but maybe I'm misunderstanding. Can we drive wearing slipper? Also, can I use radar tracker in my car? Wearing a slipper, you can drive with slippers or bare feet. Not smart, but you can do it. Not illegal in Ontario. Radar tracker, you want to know what the weather is doing? Like, are you talking about a radar detector? Radar detectors are illegal in Ontario. Yeah. Scrolling, almost finished, almost done. Can I ask when red lights have no meaning to people? Joe, you asked. I have no idea what you're talking about. Let's see here. Is it legal? No, we talked about that already. People asking the same thing again. All right. Are clear taillights illegal? The light emitted from those lights must be red or amber. Red for brakes, amber for signals. Clear lenses are legal as long as the bulbs are appropriately colored. And that's the answer. So you can't emit white light to the rear. That's the other thing. What are the limits on e-bikes or scooters without being considered a motorcycle? E-bikes, 32 kilometers an hour, 500-watt motor. I should rephrase, not capable of going more than 32. A lot of them are being sold with a switch for off-road and on-road. If you can do 80 because you flip a switch, it does 80. It's like saying a Tesla that I drive at 32 kilometers an hour isn't a car unless I'm doing 33 kilometers an hour. No, it's a car the whole time. It has to not be capable of going faster. And the e-bike that has a switch is capable of going faster. It has to have no more than 500 watts power to the motor, like peak output, 500 watts. Maybe it's sustained output. In any case, there's the Suron's like 12,000 watt, I think. It's a lot. 120 kilos is maximum weight. Functional pedals is required. E-kick scooters, 24 kilometers an hour maximum speed, capable. 500 watt motor again. No seat. Put a seat on an e-kick scooter, it's a motorcycle. WD 48337 says, I have a question about HOV lanes, and then proceeds not to ask me the question about HOV lanes. Can we drive solo on a G1 while carrying a license from our back home country? This is from Mansour Azaz, and the answer is no. The moment if you are coming here from another country and you have a license from that country and you are not able to transfer that license directly into a license here, that license is no longer valid once you apply to a G1 or for a G1. The moment you have a G1, you are a G1 driver and you must be supervised. That is it. That is all. You cannot continue to drive on your foreign license from your home country. Yeah. Before, like, you're given as a visitor, you're given a period of time. But again, once you apply for a G1, you are no longer capable of using that license. It takes priority. You would be charged for driving and unaccompanied. You would be charged for breaking your condition. You would potentially, well, first conviction, you'd lose your license for 30 days. Second conviction, 90 days. Third time, you'd be kicked out of the licensing program. Okay. Question, light turns green, you are turning left. Oncoming traffic are not reacting because they're on the phone, and you hit the gas. What is that? That's stunt driving. Now, here's the difference. If it's on the phone, you give them a few beats, like 1,000, 2, 1,000, the guy's just that's different than immediately before or after the light turning green, you hit the gas and go. Because that's a jackrabbit start, that's stunt driving. I'll take your car for 14 days, your license for 30 for that, for a jackrabbit start. But if you've made every effort, you've rolled into the intersection, maybe you give them a toot, you hit the horn, they don't respond, have at her. But if you are gunning it when the light changes, you are absolutely stunt driving. Got to make efforts to follow the law. It's not just, hey, I see an opportunity. Let's take advantage of it. Just saying. And on a 6-speed manual box truck, do I need a manual endorsement on my license? I don't know. I don't know which, because if you were licensed for automatic with commercial motor vehicle, I believe you are limited to automatic. Now, I don't know if that is like you're saying 6-speed manual. I don't know if that's different, and I think it is different than having the full, how many? I don't even know how many gears a big rig has. So I don't, because you're saying box truck. Box truck. Are we talking about like a 24-foot truck, like a straight truck? Because if it requires a G license, no, you don't need a special license to drive that stick. I've driven those. You just need to have a license that's G that covers the vehicle. If you're talking about an A class license, like a semi, then you need to be, you need to be licensed for or the endorsement for manual. What is this? Can I drive my dad's car on his insurance? If you don't live with him, then you could, if you're a licensed driver, borrow a car that's insured. If you live with them, the insurance companies want you to be on the license. Oh, this is a great one. I don't get this question nearly enough. What does an R mean on a speeding ticket? It means reduced. They reduced it roadside. At least that's what it means in Toronto. So if you got an R on your speeding ticket, it means it was reduced. That allows the courts to know that you've already received a roadside reduction and you should not receive any further reductions in court. No deal. It's the no deal ticket. I gave you the deal at roadside. You shouldn't get any more. That's what it's supposed to represent. Is a picture of an ownership valid during a traffic stop? No. Photocopy of the original or the original. Okay. And first offense on expired registration or insurance. Expired registration, $110 ticket. Expired insurance and no insurance on the policy, that's the $5,000 to $25,000 fine, up to 6 months in jail. Yeah. What else? Engineering was the last person on the cut and paste. Don't save that. I don't need that. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. All right. I'm not going to do that again. It's 11:34, which is where I say not doing that again. I mean, go and cut and paste all of the bloody messages and go through another list. I'm really hoping the technology. I think next time I'm just going to try and reboot. But I tried to salvage. I did, and I am happy. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4 says this is sad. That's okay. 1, 2, 3, 4 can, doesn't need to be here. Okay, what do we got here? Now I'm looking here. Green plates can drive on HOV. Yeah. Can I start at the RCMP at 17? I don't know. No passengers on e-bikes, unless they're designed to hold passengers. Okay. Mitch says, I see you riders in the hospital all the time. Yeah, I imagine they provide a lot of business. Radar jammers are illegal, yes. $170 fine, 2 demerit points. We seize it. We have full search and seizure authority. Oh, Mighty Mo says, I passed a car on the 401 with the driver's left foot hanging out the driver's window. What the heck? They are not smart. That is what that is. Danger, danger. I won't even get into the graphicness of this, but I did help find someone's foot after a collision. Just saying. Okay. What happens if a G1 driver is caught driving their parents' car without permission? We're going to close on that one. That is is one of my fun ones, my favorite ones. If they're driving without a supervising driver who qualifies, they are looking at a charge that is drive unaccompanied, G1 drive unaccompanied, $110 fine. If they don't have permission, could be charged for take vehicle without consent, which is criminal. Yeah. So that's good. Don't do it. Stealing a car, essentially. But instead of theft, it's take vehicle without consent because you had the opportunity. It was not a stranger thing. All right. We're going to do this again tomorrow. Hopefully technology cooperates tomorrow. And until that time, I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great night. I hope that you drive safely, park legally, and all that jazz. And bring questions tomorrow. We'll do this again. In the meantime, I'm going to let you watch a recruiting video because I think it's a great video and it's the perfect outro for the show. Have a great day.
Your future career starts with a vision. A vision of opportunities ahead, where you can see a path to a noble career, serving the city of Toronto. Where do you see yourself? Toronto Police Service. Apply today.